Hello, good evening. You're welcome again to Straight and Cathedral. Today we have an interesting topic at hand. Beautiful people, how you doing? How you doing? Happy Sunday to you guys, and hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. You're preparing for tomorrow. I'm certain most of us are already, relaxed, and we're ready for today's international, come on, intellectual fellowship. Yeah, it's me again, Domeji Shodeke, and today our topic will be the Africa we want or we are. Hello, hello, my brother.
Yes, boss. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. It's been ages, bro.
Yes. Good to see you, bro.
Although we've been working on projects together. We've been on the same platform, you know. But to see this your face, this your look, it's been a while, bro.
Yes, boss. Yes, boss.
How's
And
everything?
you've been doing a very good job, a very good one, a very good
Thank
one.
you very much.
Back in those days, I remember our conversations about Africa and the rest. So it's really a
Yeah,
good one.
thank you very much. You're not doing bad too. I've been following is it Monadel? Your Monadel
Yeah,
story.
Monadel.
Yeah, so yeah, I love the spirit, and I'm not surprised. It's expected.
Yes, boss.
But I just want to give a background info to what is playing out, because I get to see, and I appreciate what you said when you came that it's a good job I'm doing. Although you know me, I'm not someone who actually like to be. Um, Everybody likes to be. Okay. Actually, yeah, just do that. Use your phone. Yeah, we're waiting for you. Don't worry. Everybody likes to be, appreciated. Honestly, that's the honest truth. But I like not to be distracted by the accolades. But I like to be focused on the work that needs to be done. That's the kind of person I am. And I appreciate the fact that over the years, it was not just all talk between us. Even though you could relate back to the talk we had, it has been, words put into actions, and we can see
Hmm.
ourselves working towards it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I read a book that actually changed my mind, and that was the book of Al Maktoum bin Rashid, the man who revolutionized Dubai and his entire family. Dubai became a concept, a creative concept in their mind, and they felt that they could turn a desert to one of the most beautiful paradises on earth. And
Hmm.
look at what we
Hmm.
have right now. It's one of the most visited tourist sites or country that is generating enormous billions and billions of dollars yearly,
Very
both
well.
by
Very well.
tourism and all. And how much more a land that is naturally endowed like Africa that we are not exploring. Someone said to me this morning that they are getting every Africans out of the land in order for them to be able to, in future, navigate through the land of Africa and to be able to be the
Hmm.
ones.
Hmm.
I don't know. People will situate that as conspiracy theory, but coming from me, who also is in diaspora, and I'm seeing things. To be honest, I would say that Africa is a land that's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth your time. It's worth your effort. It's worth your. So, in that perspective, Al Maktoum bin Rashid, in his book, said that what is going on is not, a warfare of superior weapons anymore. It is an intellectual warfare. It's an economic warfare. You cannot fight an economic and intellectual warfare by you presenting yourself like you believe in luck, like something is going to happen one day, abracadabra, and it's going to take all your pain. We have to put in the work. So the question is, when you look at our social media, when you look at our platform as youth, do we look like people who could be taken seriously? That something is really happening back home. An interview, I watched an interview just yesterday about Buju Bantu. Yeah, no, about the reggae musician who said that Kenya, just our backyard neighbor, Kenya, they're having agitation for political oppression, suppression, and it's Sudan. Sudan has been even Congo itself. But
Congo, yeah.
Our Afrobeat does not reflect. None of our singers is actually has deemed it fit to say that they want to give themselves into the struggle. And aside from some very, very few that I can mention, and those relatable few, how has been their patronage? And when I say few, I'm talking about numbers that you can count like your fingers, like Seun Kuti, Beautiful Nubia, people that are still representing conscious music. But what we have flooding African market is more like, can we be taken seriously? Is at these, and so this guy is saying that they, in their own reggae music from Jamaica, they've been putting Africa forward in their lyrics, and it's true. I listen to Bob Marley. I'm a big fan of Bob. They've been putting Africa. They've been mentioning the name. They've been trying to put the people and the agitation and all. But even the people living in Africa, which are our Afrobeat artists right now, these so-called celebrities, they are focusing on something else. Everybody's running after.
It goes back to the consciousness that we have as Africans first, then the consciousness you have as a Nigerian. All right. So why did I distinguish it that way? The consciousness you have as an African, back in the days of our fathers that fought for independence across different African countries, you will see the consciousness to say that this is the land of my birth. This is the land where I have to make sure that things work. This is the land I can relate with. Are you there?
Yes, I'm with you. I just went to the WhatsApp to prompt Ati to come on board.
Okay. So you see them, taking on the road to say that this is the Africa that we have, the Africa that we want. All right. Now coming back to the Nigerian consciousness, I belong to the school of thought that believes that Nigeria has we have always found it very easy. We found it very, very easy, and as such, we don't have that struggle within us. We don't have that struggle. Everything has more or less been like on a platter of gold to Nigerians. Even though we are not getting the full package, we are being given 25%, 15%, even 5%. Yet we still take that, and then still sit. All right, we still sit and don't move. So the consciousness that needs to come up in us, I just like you said, Afrobeat. It's not just the Afrobeat alone. It goes beyond all walks of art in Africa at the moment. It goes across all walks of art in Nigeria. I can't really name a new age playwright that is talking about the social ills in Nigeria. I can't think of one novelist that is talking about the socioeconomic or political issues in Nigeria at the moment. I can't think of a poet that is doing justice to whatever is going on, So the consciousness is not there. The consciousness, you can find it in the Kenyans, you can find it in a lot of other African countries, even though there is still a lot to giant of Africa. I don't want to use the word giant of Africa anymore, so you discover that Nigeria being like an elder brother that everyone is looking towards to champion stuffs, to do things. All right, she's here.
Okay, Ati. Babadi, just hold your thought for 1 second and let us shoot, properly. Ati,
Yeah.
you'll be fined. Your fine is $1 million. Okay, just let me do the introduction real quick and let us just move ahead, okay? Okay, this is Street and Cathedral proper, and you are my friends. I will do the introduction based on punctuality. And Adebowale Morotito Adeola. Did I get that right? Is that
Yes.
Adeola Morotito? Yeah.
Adeola
And this is
Adebowale Morotito. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. He has been my brother, my colleague for years right now, way back during varsity's days. I call him Baba D. Baba D has been my HOC departmental leader from 100 level till I finished. And he's not just a departmental leader where you could actually say it was just a figurehead. His voice, resonates with activism, intellectualism, and someone who you respect. He's not just a phony. He's someone who is living the life as he preaches. Baba D, one of the striking things about him that I so much respect is the fact that in the face of even challenges and all, he has been able to stand his ground and carry a niche that this is where I pitch my tent to. And one of those things I love personally about him is his African mindset. He has been Pan-African oriented back right from school. He's one of those people where when we have conversation, the conversation has always been about Africa, for Africa, to Africa, with Africa. So he has been pitching his tent with that ideology, and he doesn't mind to go global with that mindset. Of course, I hope you know that Africanity is not restricted to the continent. So, but his own perspective is that my identity is an African, and there's nothing you can take away from my identity. So that is one of those, those things, because we share similarities, and from that perspective. So you're welcome on board properly, Baba D, to my personal space. I call this streets and cathedral. Are you still there? We lost you? Okay, while his network is buffering, let me move ahead. On my immediate right, oh, she's the one left alone now. You see, you came and you chased the guy out of the room. Ladies are powerful, He's gonna come back. I'm sure it is his network. So this is Atamelang, free Adelaide. Am I right? Did I pronounce that? Adelaide. Good. She's from Botswana. She's a CEO. As you can see, she joined from an official business platform, free skin soaps and beauty products in general. One thing I respect about Ati is the fact that she has this inner strength for business, and the fact that she is willing in order to test her feet in the waters, and to push herself beyond her comfort zone and limits is something that is so amazing. You would agree with me that we have millions of people right now online that call themselves CEO. In fact, I think CEOs are even they are quite more than the product itself. We don't know who is CEO and CEO of whatnot, but you've been the one who has been living, pushing yourself through that expectation. I know many people who sell beauty products, who sell clothes, but for you to take your brand from what I do to say, yeah, I want to push this to international terrain. I want to go to Egypt. I navigate through these opportunities. This is something that it is rare. Honestly, it is rare. And coming from a gender like you, where we in Africa has been conditioned, let me say what we've been conditioned in the way that women are supposed to hunt, but don't stress yourself with hunting. Let the men do the wild hunting. No, after saying no, I come from a tribe of lions. I do my hunting myself. I go into the bush. I go into the wilderness. I hunt my game, bring my kill home. And that is something so superhuman about you, and I respect about you. And to be honest with you, even though when we met, I know how you were I don't want to bring that to the open, but you have turned out to me right now to become a big miracle. So you're welcome on board, and maximum respect to you.
Thank you so much.
So let me welcome both of you as a proper African child to my home, my space. This is Street and Cathedral. Street and Cathedral is, I believe, is what we need right now as African people. Before you came on board, Ati, Baba D and I were just having a very good conversation about how the family, most especially the one who revolutionized, changed Dubai. That's a person of Al Maktoum bin Rashid. You could see Dubai is just an ordinary desert, and they've made paradise out of the desert. And in his book, he said, what is happening, what the future belongs to those people that can actually understand that it is not all about having weapon of warfare and all. It belongs to those people that can actually battle economically and intellectually. And you can see the results, what is going on in Dubai. They have results for it. They have results to show for it. And I look at what we are patronizing as Africans right now. Do we look like people to be taken seriously? You look at an average youth, how we patronize social media, how we patronize, even how we project ourselves even to the world, the things we choose. I see people not doing on the line of intellectualism that much, and it's more like we believe that what is going to change Africa is some sort of abracadabra. It doesn't happen that way. We have to put in the work, and those people that will have to put in the work are the intellectuals. If you would agree with me, there is no boycotting this thing. There is no cutting corners around this thing. This is just the reality. This is the truth. And so it's not twerking on TikTok. It is not dancing on TikTok. It is not modeling on Instagram. Why all those ones are also okay for the society. But when the 90% are trooping towards that end, and we are now adding less percentage on the intellectual side, there's a problem in such society, fam. So that's not what is obtainable in China. You see what China is doing with their TikTok. You see what they are instilling in their children, instilling in their youth. So you would ask me, is it a coincidence that in this part of this world, at every community, there is community library? It is a crime, I'm telling you. And you cannot tell the difference between a rural kid and an urban kid. I'm telling you, it is a crime for you as a parent. In fact, the government sees your child as their own property. It is a crime for you not to even put every child into school. It is a crime, I repeat, it is a crime. But is that what is obtainable in Africa? Can we tell an obvious difference when we see urban dwellers and rural dwellers? I know everybody knows the answer already. Are we projecting ourselves, patronizing ourselves, putting ourselves to go? So, and I put something on my status there before I go into the question proper. I said we have to understand the fact that the interactions other people in the world are having with us is more of an interaction of they believing that we are not equals to them intellectually, even from the entirety of our leaders to the people. Like they know that when they throw money, even money that we can earn when we put in the hard work for us, and they tell us that don't worry about the hard work, just take the dollars. They know we are ready to sell our bets, right? No, I won't say we. Many of our leaders are ready to sell their bets, right? Sell their people, sell the posterity. So it comes from a mindset, and this mindset. You would now ask me if it is a coincidence that societies like this have libraries in every community, while in Africa, every society, you see an hotel, brothel, you question what they expect from such, two societies in comparison. So you're welcome on board, my friends, and you're welcome to this intellectual fellowship I have every Sunday. This is one of my own efforts to contribute to the awareness, sensitization, educating, my people, in order for them to understand that people like us, we are still alive, we are doing well, we are doing fine, we are bold enough to project ourselves, and this is what Africa needs in the right perspective. Today's topic is titled "The Africa We Want" or "The Africa We Have." So I put it "The Africa We Want" or "We Have." I'm going to throw the question open. But before I throw the question open, we have to look at the journey so far. In 2013, the African Union put forward an agenda. Of course, that agenda itself is questionable because there is SDG goals, United Nations. We are still. We would ask if this it's like copy and paste. We have that conversation, or it is actually something that has been nativized to our own issues. So the African Union put forward an agenda. It's called the Agenda 2063 Aspirations. What does this mean? They're telling us that by the year 2063, Africa is going to be prosperous. It's going to be a land full of opportunities, stable economy. Everything about Africa will be solved. So you guys we can come back home and start flourishing. In a nutshell, that is what it means. So that means we have 50 years, just 50 years to build Africa is sovereign states the distance between me, because last I checked, I wanted to go to Botswana. You remember that time, Ati? I was about coming to Botswana at some point in time where you were preparing for my coming and we are putting in some things, but I couldn't come because we are not experiencing borderless Africa. Now to go to Botswana and to go to America is more like this. As a matter of fact, it's quite expensive. You know,
Yes, it is.
some crazy policies we can't understand. So now 50 years to put in the work. Now that is 2013. If we look at it, we have 39 years remaining. So we've spent 11 years. 11 years have been spent. So I think it's worth for us to check now. Is this actually achievable? Or is just a dream sold to us again that is going to be extended when it's like 2060? They will tell us, come on guys, who gave you this dream? Let us look about to 2100. So my friends, what do you think? Is this something that is realizable? Are we moving in the right direction towards this dream? So Babadi, you want to be a gentleman or you go first? Ati, yeah, your choice. Who wants to go first? You guys can decide. Yeah, let's shoot.
I think that's
That's a
important.
gentleman.
Ladies first.
I wanted to hear your opinion. Okay. With regards to that, Dimeji, I would say in the industry that I'm in,
you can drive your can drive your point home with your personal experiences so far. You know, you've been to Egypt, you've been to Zam, so you can drive your points home to see those things that you've interacted with so far as an African person within the continent, and to see whether the changes are moving in the right direction and all. Yeah.
I think I would speak towards the AFCFTA.
Okay, African.
That is the
African trade,
the African Continental Free Trade Area. Yes. I would say that has benefited me by opening up opportunities for growth in the market space, right? And then when I visited Cairo, I got to experience Africanicity. It was amazing. It was amazing. The ambience was amazing. The connections were amazing. The people I met, I actually got ideas on coming back home, how to improve my business. The removal of tariffs and barriers across African countries is creating a larger free trade area in the world. And this means we have access and a broader access to a customer base across all of Africa. So that has in itself been an improvement in my business. I'm able right now to talk to somebody in Lesotho or to talk to somebody in Nigeria or Uganda and say, hey, I would like to bring my product into your country, and how do I go about it? Because I love learning. I enjoy learning. So that this training that I did, where I learned the processes of how to access a new market, what documents I would need across Africa, the barriers that are there, how I can go about doing it in a cheaper way for me.
But the question is, are those barriers supposed to be there in the first place? And now you get, and what I understand you've actually also told us what it has been so far.
I do not agree with the barriers being there.
Okay.
Sorry, you're cutting off.
I was just pausing for you to finish your thoughts. Like I chipped in the question that are those barriers supposed to be there in the first place?
Oh no, the barriers are definitely not supposed to be there. With regards to cross-border trade, there's a problem when you get to the border, when you're trying to export your product. Fine, there is the tariffs and everything, but then there is the problem of corruption at the border, right? You would have a problem where you're trying to export something into a different country, and you would have to pay you have to pay your, what is it called? The word is gone. You have to pay your, well, you don't have to pay the tariff, right? But you have to pay, the word is gone.
Yeah, so in your words, let me just help you. So in your words, so okay, in your words, you feel, you feel that the agenda 2063 is realizable? Do you think is achievable at the way we are going in Africa?
I think slowly but surely we would get there.
All right, good.
Slowly,
I'm coming back to you.
but
I'm
surely
going to take you. I'm going to take you by where I'm coming back to you. I'll take that as your opening statement. So, Baba D, the same question for you. And please, I want you also to bring your personal experience so far, your interaction, just like Ati has done, into this conversation. Do you really think the Agenda 2063 aspirations as posited by the African Union is achievable, or is just a dream sold to the people of Africa?
Okay, thank you. Let me start this way. You have a child, you give birth to a child, and the child is 11 years, and the child does not understand. But by being 11 years, you know that that child is already ripe for the second 6 years of education, secondary education, college, and yet the child is still struggling with basic mathematics, basic English language that is supposed to probably be meant for primary 3 children or year 3. You understand, as the case may be. Now, will you say that the child is actually developing or growing as it should be? Definitely not. Just like you said, we have spent 11 years, and if you have to put it on paper, you will not see what we have achieved. All right, so let's take some of the few points that is in that agenda, that framework. Let's take a look at some of them. It says a prosperous Africa. All right, so that is based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. All right, so and then you look at the whole of Africa, and then you tell me that there are decent jobs, we are eradicating poverty. You tell me that education is what it's supposed to be. So for me, we are not even there yet. We have not even taken. I used to say while I was in school then that we have a long way to go. But the most unfortunate part of it is the fact that we have not even started the journey at all. On paper, the 2063 agenda looks very nice on paper, but in reality, it is not playing out. There's another aspect of that agenda that talks about an integrated continent. Please note, integrated continent that is politically united and based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of Africans' Renaissance. Tell me, at 11 years now, is the continent politically united?
Let me keep this into maybe for reaction. It's a question. Don't you think that from Ati conversation and your own conversation, Ati is from the South Africa. Now you are nodding your head already. And reality right now, you see, she says she's interacting well with people from Lesotho, South Africa. And Ati, if I get you right, you don't have an issue when you want to travel by car into South Africa, right? You guys don't have an issue.
I don't have.
You guys don't have border issues when you want to travel. Now, good. Now, you now you get my point. Now you see why I brought both of you to this topic. Now, do you really think this is a peculiarity known to the West Africa? Because you see what Ati just said right now. If we want to go to Ghana, and we are using car, we'll get stopped, searched, and that is not what is realizable from Ati South Africa. So, do you really think what is playing out in this continent from different parties is different, and we are pacing at a different rates? Do you understand my question? I'm taking that in. Yeah.
You see that yeah, you see so that is where I was actually looking at. You discover that northern African side, they have this a form of united front. All right, you look at South African, Southern African, and then you discover that they have a common ground also. They have that united front, all right? But you come back to West Africa. You come back to West Africa and you discover
issue, border issues. Yeah.
West and East. All right. Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. You discover that we have border issues. Even as much as we say that, yes, the trades, movement of people, movement of goods are flowing well in some areas, but the policy states that it should be an integrated one where politically we are united. Now, let's look at the political aspects. Are the African leaders actually having a common front when it comes to political issues? Definitely not. We still have African countries that are not running on democracy, and we have those that are still on old man crazy. If I'm going to put it, I'm deliberately going to put it that way, because I think we have the military rule in some places. All right, so you look at it that if in 11 years we cannot even bring together the South, the East, and probably the Central, at least three, then we have the West and the North. We cannot even bring three together. And then so you look at, is it based on Pan-Africanism? Definitely not.
I know we're going to get emotional. It is
Yes,
me. I'm also going to get emotional, and I don't mind, because this is our land, is our destiny. I want you to hold this question, and I'll come back to you. I'll take that as your opening speech. Hold this question. Would you feel the same way if you're from the North Africa and the pace of your development is gapping, like Morocco is gapping in the right direction, gapping like Egypt, you are gapping, you are pacing in the right direction, and you have some countries that if you're going to harness your resources together, these guys have no dignity, from embezzling, from I want you to hold your thoughts. I'm coming back to you. Ati, good. I want you to be practical. Botswana, you are the envy of Africa right now with the way you pack all those gold. Once we come to your country, we are coming to get those Olympic golds out of your country, and maybe yeah, congratulations on that. We are so proud of you.
Thank
now
you.
I want to push forward this African economic outlook to you. The one in 2021. So it indicates that although the continent has faced economic setbacks due to COVID-19 pandemic, so the long-term prospects remain positive with the projected rebound in economic growth. But there is a news we had from Botswana about your government actively being involved in relief packages from the COVID-19. Is that true? Was that true? And how has been your energy tariff, electricity tariff, and how? I want you to run us through that and how it has been able to relieve you as a business person, to relieve you as a business person in order to do your business from that pandemic experience till now. How those relief packages, what are those relief packages that were in place, that were done by your government in order to relieve you from that pandemic, and how has it helped you as a business lady?
Okay, we did have relief packages, both in the homesteads and in the businesses, right? In the homes, we were given free food. We would go to the cultural villages where we meet, where the Khosi is. The Khosi is the chief of the village that you're in. So you would go there, and then you collect your food packages from there. And then with regards to business, we were given
wait. Ati, wait. Yeah. No, I know that sounds normal to you. I want to emphasize something, but I do understand why I'm emphasizing. So you guys went to collect free food. There was no issue like your leaders embezzling. There were no issues like your leaders collected those packages from government and didn't give the people. The relief packages were given to people, right? You guys have access to electricity. There's a reason why I was telling Babaji that we have different experiences. I'm trying to review those experiences to him so he understands that your reality, our realities, you might not understand, but our realities, you might be Africans, but I think our realities are quite far-fetched. So your electricity tariff was actually also done in a way that it helps the citizens, right, in order to be affordable for them. There's also your educational plan. You guys have access to free education and educational loan, if I'm right, in Botswana.
That's true, from private right up to university, yes.
So please, don't make that sound normal. Be proud of your flag. Just make it sound like you are very proud of your flag, please. So from primary school to university, you have free access to free education, right? And this free education, we are talking about, there is no is there a disparity between the public school and private school? Like, do people go more to public schools? There's no issue with your public school system. Is there good standard education given in public schools in Botswana? What?
There is issues with the public schools, right? Like, let's go to a certain village and you go to a certain school and you find a boarding school, like, right, a government boarding school. You'll find like the students, they would not have proper food, they would not have proper sleeping places. In cases of female students, you could find that they don't have proper dispensary pads or whatever to provide them.
Okay.
So when you go out of the main school, you'll find
okay. But
once you're in the
underfunding. But what you're trying to tell us now is that there are cases of underfunding in your government schools, but they are still functioning, right?
Yes, they're still functioning.
Well,
they do.
That's just a digression. We are not here to put your country in microscope. I'm just trying to review something to Babadi so that we can establish the fact here that the Western African reality is different from the Southern African reality, even though we have communal. That's all. I'm not here to put your government in microscope, okay? Please just feel comfortable. So you don't feel like is Dimeji trying to set me up with the government of Botswana. No. So you were saying something about relief packages for your businesses. What are those relief packages and how were you able to navigate through those packages?
We had cash incentives so that you're able to pay your employees or pay yourself. In my case, where I work by myself, I would be able to pay myself if I didn't make any money, let's say within that month. And these cash incentives were given for 3 months. You had to register with Botswana Unified Revenue Services. And once you've registered with them, you're able to get that pay so that you're able to continue running your business. And there was also, if let's say you are in the business that is important to the nation, you're allowed to get your to apply for a certificate of some sort so that you're able to still move around and do your business, right?
Okay. Thank you for that. I want you to hold this question and I'll come back for you. Okay. I'm going for Babadi now. I want you to hold this question. I want you to also start thinking about the disconnect between this aspiration and the African realities. So you are going to be the mouthpiece of the Southern African to us. The aspiration, we know it. How has there been a disconnect between these aspirations and the realities that we are facing as African people right now? Do you understand my question?
Sorry, that question. Can you rephrase that?
What is the disconnect? The disconnect between these aspirations, this agenda, and the realities. Our realities as Africa is just like African Union versus the sovereign states in Africa itself. Okay, good. So Babadi, back to you. Do you want to run through that question now? Have you gotten the fact that our realities are? You are hearing cash and food, and you are surprised about. We don't want to bring our own country also under the microscope. But we know what happens to our relief packages, palliatives is being relooted, being kept, and so we don't want to go into that. So we now know that what we have is a complex people. It's not just a straight jacket people, and that is where our conversation, bone and contention is. The Africa we want and the Africa we have. So who are we as people? And the people we have right now is already playing out to say the Northern Africa we have different reality. Southern Africa are experiencing different reality. Eastern Africa are experiencing different reality. West Africa. So we are now saying we're clamoring that we want to harness resources together. Do you really think it's still a fair kind of conversation? And what are we going to do if you're going to put the work into play now that we can see?
Okay, well, it's it's going to be a fair conversation, actually, if we have it, because to a large extent, it's going to be a very good thing if we have a common front to actually come in together. Like I said earlier, if you look at that paper, if you look at the agenda, it talks about a united and integrated African continent. Now, we have a lot to gain when we are, connected that way. All right, when we go forward to help ourselves, in a way. But then you need to look at it from just like what we have said. Our realities are quite different from each other, and so when we are coming to the table, we must understand and respect the fact that what is obtainable in the Northern African region is different from what is obtainable in the Western African region. And as such, we must now start looking at, number one, the leadership issue in Africa. That is the first gap that we have in Africa as it is. Whether North, yes, our realities are different, but we still have the similarities, all right, in many areas. So you need to look at the fact that our leaders are not where they are supposed to be. They are not doing what they are supposed to do. And that is why the question of who we are as African comes in. Who are we as Africans? Do we realize our identity? Do we know our identity? Do we know who we are? All right. You look back at the days of the likes of Nelson Mandela. You look at the likes of Kwame Nkrumah. You look at those people and you see the African mindset, the African belief, the African identity, in the way they were pursuing politics, in the way they were pursuing education, in the way they were pursuing social issues, in the way they were pursuing economic issues. All right. And so we need to first and foremost establish our identity as Africans. Are we actually okay? Now I'm going to take us to a place where I'm going to have a lot of knives on my neck. Are we actually the same? Are we all Africans right now? Like, you look at the Northern African part, tells you that they flow along with the Arab world, and you look at the other part of Africa that says we're following towards Europe. And then you look at now that there is already
divisive tendencies.
that gap. Exactly, the divisive tendency is already there. All right. So any conversation we are going to have now is going to be fair. That's number one. It's going to be fair. However, if we are coming to the table, we must come to the table with the basic realities of the 21st century. The realities of a lot of our leaders that are 70s, 80s, 90s, cannot be the realities of this present age and not moving forward. All right, things are different. A lot of things are different. They believe so much in a lot of other things, but we believe in a lot of other. So we need to have a point where we have that equal representation of the African leaders and the African people, because as it is right now, we are not on the same page. We are not on the same page across all of Africa. So for us to have a fair conversation, we need to first and foremost identify our identity, then bring together an equal representation of the older generation and the younger generation, because as it is right now, you believe with me that the younger generation are quite aspiring for something different. The older generation are aspiring for something entirely different. The older generation believes in you going to getting education and getting civil service job and the likes. The new generation believes that you can actually go into social entrepreneurship. You can actually go into other fields that are not necessarily being about civil service or salary jobs or 9 to 5. All right. If that be the case, then we need to come together, to have that conversation. Until we do that, we will not have the fair conversation and we will not be able to achieve whatever we have on the 2063 agenda.
Thank you very much. That was a very brilliant submission. And to be quite honest with you, I feel that you made you took my mind when you said when you made clear distinction between the Northern Africa, because I was about to say that there's an alignment to the Arab world from part of the world. As a matter of fact, it's disgraceful that we are still talking about Francophone, Lusophone, Anglophone, Africans, Anglophone, Lusophone, Francophone, and now we are talking about the Arab So it borders across the line of what I told someone the other day, and I revealed that some certain sect of people are buying lands in Africa, and they've bought land that is even bigger than the United Kingdom. I'm talking about leaders of some certain countries have bought lands in Africa that is bigger, enormously bigger than the whole United Kingdom. So why are they buying land here if Africa is not the future they are projecting? If there is no, so it's more like we need to start having this conversation right now. And you said something also striking to me when you talked about African leadership and the African people. That should be another topic. I've penned it down. African leadership and the African, because that's actually a very deep, and the African people. That's actually a very deep conversation, because there was a statement I came across that says that black skin, but no black white skin, black mask. So it is not all black people. Yeah, white skin, black mask. So actually, or black skin, white mask. It is not actually all black people that we can easily align with and say is African. Just like
Exactly.
Kwame Nkrumah said, Africa is not where we are born, but it is what is born out of us. So it is your mindset, your mentality that makes you African. You know how many people that are willing to throw their Africanity off the window once they get to Europe? You know how many people are ready to call their father bastards when they are adopted by their European fathers? So we need to be careful when we told this line. So Artie, back to you. I asked you a question, and that question is the aspiration and our current realities. I love listening to you and the part of the world, of the part of the Africa you came from. It sounds more like you are from a different Africa to us. Because you guys, I've seen Zimbabwe's and Southern Africans are not really having it cool. Their currency and economy is not friendly. But Botswana, Lesotho, I have friends from, what is this country that has a king that is ruling? That has a king. Swatini. Yeah, so I have friends from there.
Swatini.
And these people, when they tell me about Africans' realities, I'm like, are you sure we are from the same continent? So now let's talk about that, because the same question will go to Baba D2, and that is where we are going to start, going into the art of the way forward, and then we'll call it a wrap. Now let us go there. The AU versus sovereign states. Does this aspiration 2063, as it's called, the Agenda 2060, and our current African realities? What is the similitude of the relationship of the goal working smoothly, and what is the far-fetched disparity, and say no, I don't think this aspiration is achievable? So what are the disconnects? Disconnect between the aspiration and the realities. And I want you to give us practical examples from your own experience, if you can.
Okay. Can I speak with regards to education, right?
Why not, please?
With regards to education, I would say the Agenda 2063 is not in par with what I would think they should be doing at this moment to get things right. I think we need to start from grassroots level, right, at primary schools. We firstly need to change the education system, right? Because at school, I think we are all trained and conditioned to be employees instead of coming out of school and deciding to open your business. So you're thinking of, I'm leaving school and I'm going to find a job. So there's that mindset of saying, the thought is gone. There's that mindset where they're training us to be employees
of white
instead of
jobs, instead of being a self-employed. So the educational system to you is biased already for what
it is very biased.
For what Africa needs. So you feel like the aspirations should actually project African people to go in line of business, SMEs, in order to fund it, rather than project education
Yes,
as,
we want to move to industrialization. We should have more manufacturing plants, right?
and
So
our education should be tailored towards that. The education should be
yes,
fashioned towards the fact that we need industrialization, not just the white collar job being
yes,
in the offices and
yes, definitely. Because I think I once saw a video of a school in China where young girls were being trained how to assemble an cylinder head for an engine, for a car engine cylinder head. Like 10-year-olds, 13-year-olds, these young girls were actually hands-on learning how to do that. I think that's what our school system needs to change too. And then with regards to an integrated continent, the Agenda 2063. Sorry.
I think he's
Okay.
there. You can go on. He just, I think he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
With regards to an integrated continent, I think we're very far from that. As you were saying, I didn't get your name. I forgot your name. Sorry?
Adeola.
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 Oh, Adeola. Yes. You were talking, it looks like we're living in two different worlds, right? Where I come from, you heard my experiences, and I've heard your experiences, and they're totally different from what I'm getting from my country, which does not speak to the integrated continent that they're trying to build in the Agenda 2063. And then there is also to a peaceful and secure Africa. I think this one speaks to achieving a peaceful and secure Africa through conflict prevention and resolution, and strengthening peacekeeping and conflict resolution mechanisms, right? Outlook 2021, it notes that many African countries face significant security challenges. Like, let's say when there are elections, there's some discrepancies, there's soldiers fighting the people. So we still have a long way to go with securing our peaceful Africa. And then there is good governance and democracy. This one speaks to achieving good governance and democracy through strengthening democratic institutions, right? Promoting human rights and enhancing transparency and accountability. There is a project that I'm doing now, and we're having such a problem accessing our government in order for them to help us articulate this solution that is country-based or internationally based. Actually, it's going to help the country or Africa or the international market at large. But we're having a problem. We've been talking to them since March, I think, and they've only come on board now, and it's August. We have had to postpone our program so many times just so that we're able to cater for them, right? So that speaks to accountability of our government. They are actually not helping us. They're not helping us.
Do you experience? Sorry? Do you experience some sort of level of corruption that is going on in Africa as well in Botswana? Political corruption?
Yes, there is. There is, to a certain level, there is that corruption. People in
I think our network is buffering. We lost her. That was a very, very powerful submission. She's actually eating the new. I gave her time because I wanted us to now start seeing
higher places. Then you're going to have a problem having to reach whatever target you have that you want to accomplish yourself.
Yeah, we're with you. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Timeji. Can you guys still hear me? Aspirations and the realities in the agenda African countries to significant challenges that we are currently facing. To achieve these developments, I think our leaders need to come together. I think I've once heard of talk about a united Africa, like what you have in the US, like what you have in the US, where all our leaders will come together and they'll pick one leader for the whole of Africa, right? And then they would have these sub-offsets, and I think it would come and advise each other on how to actually overcome these challenges that we're having.
Oh, thank you very much, Ati. And that was a very, very brilliant and powerful submission from you. And thank you for running us through the experience from the southern part of Africa. We understand that the characteristics that is playing out might be different, but we can also see the similarities as well playing out as well. So, Babadi, this same question to you, but I'm going to chip this in order for you to also bear in mind in answering your question, the disconnect. Now we have socio-political landscape, we have conversation around climate change, and of course, Ati has told us about corruption, but there's something also which is the third I want you to add. All this silencing the gun, we can see many political unrest going on. So how is the agenda aspiration of 2063 has been a disconnect from from this from the aspiration, from the hope given and the realities playing out in the continent at large? Please shoot.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, let me quickly start from a particular part that she mentioned. My home, my constituency is actually education. All right. So to a large extent, let me start from that aspect. All right. When we finished school, then I decided to go back to the primary school education system, because I discovered that we keep looking at how to solve the problem from the university level, from the secondary school level, when we're supposed to be looking at the first 6 years of education, which is very important. So if you're not getting it right within the first 6 years of education, you're going to struggle with the next 6 years, and then on and on like that. The struggle is going to continue. All right. And so that was why I actually went back to the primary education system to make sure that we are able to influence whatever is going inside the classroom. All right. So now, you agree with me that education in Africa is not where it's supposed to be. Education in Africa is not looking at developing a holistic child, is not looking at developing a total child, is looking at a child. I asked the question sometimes ago, within my education family. I asked the question, I said, what is the objective of education in Nigeria? And that question, I'm going to change it. What is the objective of education? What is the aim of education in Africa? What is the aim? Do we have a goal? Are we still using the goal that was set in the 70s? Are we still using the goals and the aim that was set in the 60s, in the 80s? Whereas we are in the 20s. So we need to be able to understand that these policies, this document is not doing anything. There is a gulf of serious differences between what is obtainable and what that document contains. All right. So let me now go to your questions dealing with socio-political situations in Africa. All right. The problem of Africa as it is today, and okay, let's talk about the wars, the guns, the different battles here and there. Now, you will believe with me that politics in Africa is a business. That's the first I want us to start with. Politics in Africa is a business. It is seen as a means of livelihood. It is seen as a means of escaping poverty. I am saying it categorically because I have been able to, see through the things that are happening in different African countries, and particularly in Nigeria. A lot of people now go into politics. Why? Because they want to escape poverty. They want to be able to make money for their family and everything. And when you have that mindset, there's no way you will get there. and you will tell me that you're going to do something developmental, you're going to do anything for the society. It's not going to work. Do you understand? Your reason, your why is defective already, is having issues. All right. So corruption in Africa, war. Okay, now another example of another instance of why war is prevalent, of gun and everything, violence everywhere in Africa, is because of corruption. Take away corruption and you will agree with, or reduce corruption, because there's no society that does not have an element of corruption. All right, but reduce the corruption in Africa and you will have development coming in. And when development is coming in, you will discover that violence will reduce. How? Okay, you talk about education. If we get it right with education, a lot of children out there are being brainwashed. And when you have the right education, you will be engaged. All right, and you will understand evil from good. That's number one. Number two is the fact that economy in Africa is, particularly in the Western African part, is nothing to write home about. All right. So if you have a socio-economic realities changing, that people are gainfully engaged, people are, they have a lot of things to do and they are seeing the result for it, you agree with me that violence will definitely reduce, because we have a lot of idle hands in Africa as it is right now. And if I'm going to use an example, I will use West Africa again as example. We have a lot of idle hands that are doing practically nothing, and then they're available for extremists and the likes to come in, available even for corrupt politicians to come in and use them. All right. So you agree with me that where we are right now in Africa talks about who we are. Or sorry, talks about who we used to be, because just like you said, Dimeji, that we shouldn't be, we shouldn't use the word we just like that anyhow. All right, we're going to limit it to a lot of the older generation. I'm sorry for saying that, but then their generation is apart. Our generation is having a different reality, a different drive, a different goal, a different spirit,
I think
different from what they have. All right, okay, look at it.
And they fail to realize is that the world evolved right before their eyes, and they are not the beneficiary of the evolution. So they don't know when to leave the stage, when it is not their time anymore. Like now,
exactly.
We have digital revolution.
Exactly.
What are you saying? You say something.
I was saying, and they don't want to adapt to conform to new reality.
And you are right. I'm just stressing. I'm just emphasizing your. And their politics is a politics of control. Right now, you are talking about engagement. I love the word Babadi has been using, engagement. We want to be unleashed. Don't control us. You controlled the continent during your time. You see, we want to be unleashed. I want to have access to Botswana. As a matter of fact, if I find out that Lesotho is the only land in Africa that favors me, and I make my I did my business interaction in Lesotho, I want to be able to settle down with my family and have a new life in Lesotho. That is the interaction we are aiming to have, rather than we travel miles and miles down to the UK. I'm being honest with you. I prefer to be in Lesotho or Botswana, where maybe Ati will be my free neighbor, will be the one sharing the food, taking the food next time from the Koti, instead of. But jokes apart, you get my point. So Dimi,
let me come in from that. You see, for some of us, we have been finding it very difficult to leave the shores of Africa, to leave Nigeria, and I'll be very realistic with you. For some of us, we envy you. Believe me, we envy you. But for some of us that are deeply rooted in African traditional system, that is looking at family, I find it extremely difficult to uproot myself from a lot of my growing up, my childhood, my belief system, everything around me. All right. So you talk about where I was born, you talk about people I know, you talk about relationship with my environment, relationship with people there. You understand? So it has been difficult for some of us, not because we don't want to also move, because for some of you that have moved, that are still even thinking
100% right. Even here, the locals don't travel from. As a matter of fact, they don't even want to go to Scotland. Their neighbor culture there. You see them living here, they'll tell you that once I'm leaving work, I want to go to my granny to pick my kids. From my granny to my house, I have my stepmother. You are right, 100%, bro. You are right. So,
So for some of you that are still there and you are still able to look back, you understand, it gives us a lot of because if you don't go, or if many of us don't go out and come back, we will not see what is obtained. There's a proverb in Africa or in Nigeria that says that when you've not been to the farmyard of another man, you say that your father's farmyard is the biggest. All right. So for some of you that have been able to also experience, that part of the world, you will not be able to, we'll be able to join our voices together to say that, see, this is what is obtainable here. This is what we want here.
yeah.
I'm already going into African we want, and I don't want to jump into African we want right now. All right. Because the African we want envisions a form of interrelational dependency. We're not going to be independent we're not going to be independent as Nigeria. Sovereignty apart, political sovereignty apart. I'm not talking about political sovereignty, but I'm saying that culturally we are going to, and economic wise, we are going to, come together. We're going to interject at a point. All right. And that's the kind of Africa that some of us want, an African that is built on African ideals. If you agree with me, Dimi, that when we were in school, we did some courses then, and it deals with traditional education in Africa. And you agree with me that what we have right now is a system where we just copy and then paste without looking at the realities, without looking at the people, without looking at the environment, all right, before implementing whatever we are implementing. And that's what formed some of us to say that, well, we are leaving the classroom and we are coming outside. We're coming outside to make sure that whatever is coming inside the classroom, we look at it very well to make sure that the realities on ground matches with whatever you are bringing in. All right. So it's important that we realize that the African we want right now is quite different from Africa that we are at the moment. The African we want is different from the Africa we are right now. And so it means that a lot of us needs to change the Africa that we are to be able to get the Africa that we want.
Man, that was... But what do you say in Botswana when the pointer center? Is it Aribo? What is that word? So honestly, you've said a lot, and those a lot you've actually run through all the points I've written down. In order to buttress both of your points, you guys have given brilliant submission. We need to actually look into policies across education, business interaction, tourism, and everything. The truth is, I love when you picked it from education, because 60% of the population of Africa is their youth, and it says that they are even under 20, bro. That means Africa is vibrant. It's a young continent, so vibrant, energetic. And you know what? And you know what? No. Let's even leave the natural resources. Let's talk about the human resources. Young people are full of energy. Yeah. They want to be engaged. What kind of leader? What kind of leader say there's no job, no employment, and this kind of people should be redundant, given to drugs? This is madness, fam. So when we have system now, you talked about the fact that traditional education, and I'm going to buttress upon. Look, a traditional method failed side by side $1 billion investment of World Bank, and that is TASA in Tanzania. You can read it up, fam. There was a drought in Tanzania, and they were trying to plant things back and all. I'm telling you, the expert, the most brilliant people went to Harvard, and everything came and told the World Bank they need billions of dollars, and this is what is going to work. It was even the traditional knowledge of the traditional farmer, indigenous farmers, that thrive. And it's called TASA. World Bank, the World Bank project failed even beside African traditional intelligence. So where are our scholars? Why are we not teaching this across Africa? What are our African intellectuals doing? I'm yet to see an African university telling us about their own patent of the COVID-19 virus, putting up an official statement that COVID-19 is not realizable in Africa, a myth. But what we see in the mainstream media is that Africa is the capital of poverty, capital of all diseases and everything. The other day they said they find a variant of a particular disease in Sweden. That was the news. That was the headline. Guess what was the picture for the headline? African person. How does an African person fit a Swedish see
Yeah.
this kind of, it's madness, fam. So you see what is going on right now. Just back to what Al Maktoum Ben Rashid said, that it's an intellectual warfare that is going on. And I wrote it in my first book. When you have an intelligent enemy, you don't choose to be stupid. So now, just like Buju said, now where our music that resonates with our African realities, I love what Babadi ended with. The Africa we have is different from the Africa we want. It reflects in our movies, in our music. Show me a music that is actually singing about our African realities and predicaments right now. They will raise things up by 300% inflation in Nigeria, and the next release music will be about flexing in the club. How does that translate to our African realities and predicaments, fam? How does that? We have people who give themselves into struggle like Bob Marley, but people don't want to take the hard way. They think there's a shortcut to this thing. There is no shortcut. We will put in the work.
You get it. They don't want to
We have to pick up the ball and play. And that is why I called both of you. I believe you guys are the perfect voice for it, because I wanted youth that are putting in the work. I see people come to my DM and say, you are really trying. I am not doing this for you to tell me I'm trying. I've been trying years ago. You guys are not listening, fam. We are not listening.
You have to also try.
I'm reading 6 books. What are my books all about? If you read my book, you will feel offended. My books are not romance. My books are not erotic. They are all about African realities and predicaments. Have you read it? No. Don't come into my DM because you see me saying all these things. This is my passion. And you're saying I'm trying. You're saying it. You're not saying it. I don't care, bro. It is what it is. We can't conflict what we do as work, like what artists do now. It's easy for artists to say she's all skincare product and all she wants to have that will come $1 billion industry, but she has to bear in mind her Africanness, and she's navigating through the African opportunities to see how she can do businesses, and that is what we are all about. And look at Babadi as well. I've studied Babadi over the years, and I told him something before he come up, but it was not just all talk between us. We are putting the work into it. So if it has always been, I just want to work and do my own part and not be concerned, it's fine. You can do that. Yes, you can join the bandwagon of the people that does that. But the question you should ask yourself is that those people that actually made impact, do they look like you? No, they don't look like you, fam. So this is my last question. I'm sorry, I told you I was going to get emotional. Anything African is going to give us because and yes, this is my last statement on this. Then I would ask the last question. An African child, we were not born to know poverty. Botswana, across, I can tell this unilaterally about African people, the pre-colonial areas. Remember, I said pre-colonial before we had the interventions of the white settlers. We are aware of wealth. When you are giving birth to Babadi, you are assigned land already. Before you grow up, you are assigned land already. What does land means in economics? What are we taught land means in economics? Well, land is wealth. So when capitalism, nobody in Africa is entitled to poverty. We don't know poverty. We know that when you grow up, then you now start thinking, oh, I need to marry Ati. I need to have a family to farm in order to do trade, right? In order to engage this land that have been given to be prosperous, to do business, responsibility, contribution to society, start creeping into your mind, and you not find yourself idle. So you know that in order to build your family, you have to engage your right, your birthright, which is land. Land is naturally a birthright of all Africans. Now these people came and started telling us that you can't do it like this. Not everyone. So they brought capitalism. We don't know capitalism. So they started bringing the way they designed this for us, that they said, no, don't worry, we're not going to take everything. It's going to be mixed economy. When you have taught some people how to cheat a large number of people, do you think they will be decent enough not to take over? So that is the war going on in the world right now.
That's why we're struggling with neo-colonialism as it is right now.
So they wanted capitalist mindset people that would. I said in my poem that UNESCO put. I said kingsmen turned bastards. That was what I meant. These are people, honorable people. I said honors made without true honors, but that's a talk for another day. So now we see what is going on, interplaying across the African land, and it is It is true. The Africa we want is far different from the Africa we have right now. And we have to change the Africa we have in order to achieve the Africa we want. You've nailed it. See, to be honest, we now move to the conclusion. And this is the conclusion for both of you. And I want you to be as honest. I always ask all my guests this question. And let us project into 10 years ahead. What do you think is coming for Africa? We spent 11 years already. So let's look into another 11 years. Please. With what is interplaying across the continent. You see the rise of TikTok, the malady of social media. That is even enormous enough not to even stress yourself about. Engagements about African opportunities. Most African people don't even know there are opportunities in the land. They just believe, well, Africa is condemned. I'll just give myself into frivolities, maybe prostitution or whatever. What the easiest part? What do you think is coming for Africa? With what is interplaying right now? Now, you come from the Southern Africa, please. And you come from the Western Africa. So let us marry both together and we call it a wrap. No, ladies first, right? All right.
So
definitely.
Rephrase. I couldn't hear you. You keep cutting off.
Yeah.
Did you get the question?
I want you to project. This is subjective. It's your personal opinion. Project into 10 years from now. 10 years ahead. What do you see coming for Africa? Do you think we are going to be in line of achieving the 2063 agenda? Are we going to get it right? Or you have suggestions that, if we do it this way, we'll get a positive result. But if we keep doing this way, things might not go well. So what is your projection? What do you see coming in the next 10 years for Africa?
Okay, my projection, I will go back to the education system and say we need to grassroots level. As long as we're not changing the narrative in our local schools, there's not going to be much of a change because we're still breeding and we're growing young people that have that mindset of being an employee. So as long as we have that mindset, we're not going to change.
So we need to move from the mindset of being an employee of labor to being an employer of labor. And you said something the other time. You said we need to start manufacturing. I know you are manufacturing your product already. So do you want to stress what you mean by we have to move from being a consumer to a manufacturer?
To being a manufacturer. Yes. So that speaks to industrialization, right?
Yeah, industrialization.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we need to have in our local schools, we need to start having, let's change the curriculum altogether, right? We need to have more practicals in school, more hands-on work for the students, not just theory, because that is all we're getting in school. We get theory, and then we don't get practicals. You're only able to get practicals in, let's say, senior school, and that's too late already. The foundation, we need to lay it at grassroots level at primary schools, like I'm saying.
Okay, I appreciate that. I so much appreciate that, and that's actually realizable. I just hope that our message is. I believe it will get to the right portals, but I just hope they take cognizance of all these points. You said, yeah.
Mindset change. Well, we need to change the mindset of the people of our countries so that they're able to adapt to more practicality instead of just learning theory. And it also starts with you. Starts with it. Each and everyone need to start doing something about it in order for something to change. Not only the few that yes.
I like that last statement. It starts from you. I think that's Obama's words. You are the change you need to say in the world, and it's actually factual. I love Obama. That's what we're saying, because the thing is, when you're asked, okay, what role are you playing? Not just talk about this. What role are you playing? You can be able to say, I have my own business. I run my own things and stuff, and even at that, I know that we can still do better. And now, Babadi, over to you. What do you project in the next 11 years?
Well, I'm not a prophet of doom, but
That is already laughing. Are you scared, Auntie?
Well,
Very, very
believe me,
enough.
if nothing changes, if we don't have a shift from what we have right now, and that shift starts from the mindset that you talked about, if you don't have a mind shift right now, you will agree with me that in the next 10 years, we're going to revisit this conversation and we're going to be having the same conversation again. For me, I have grown to an extent where I am able to understand that some things depends on reality. Reality how? While I was growing up, we had Vision 2020. If you remember, Dimi, we had Vision 2020 in Nigeria. You know, and even before we got to 2010, that vision was dead on arrival. So you get so
It's not the first time. Wait,
currently now
it's
a
not the
child
first
of
time
11
a
years.
vision will die before in Africa. Before Africa, okay.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You know. So you need to look at it that if a child of 11 years at the moment does not even understand the basics right now, has not even started the journey. Do you get? The journey is supposed to start from playgroup up to nursery, up to primary. So the child that has not started that in the next 10 years will still struggle. So as it is right now, Africa will still struggle. Like I said, I'm not a prophet of doom. Africa will still struggle if we do not have a shift, a mind shift from where we are right now. All right. And so for me, the way forward is to, number one thing is to strengthen our governance. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If we don't get leadership right in Africa, there is no way we're going to get any other thing right. And that's the truth. Whatever intervention you are seeing right now are majorly humanitarian supports. They are majorly private individuals coming in to support. For me, in the education sector, I know a lot of private individuals that are coming in to support education in Africa, in Nigeria, to build schools, to repair, to renovate, to make sure that we fill them with resources. I know a lot of schools where teachers don't come to school more than twice a week. I know schools where we have just two teachers, public school, that we have just two teachers on their payroll. All right. So if we don't strengthen our governance, get leadership right, we're still going to have this conversation in the next 10 years. The second thing, which Ati talked about earlier, is accountability. We must promote accountability in Africa. And that starts from the family unit. Promote accountability from the family unit. We go back to what it means to be Africans now. It means that you must start from the basis, your family. You have a root. Your root starts from your family. All right. So we need to make sure that we promote accountability right from the family level to the society level, to the institutional level at our society. Number three is for us to empower our institutions. We must. What we have right now in Africa are powerful men. We don't have powerful institutions. We have powerful men. We don't have powerful institutions. We only have men that will just rise and say this. We don't have institutions that can hold people accountable. Institutions that will require you to say that I am going to follow the books. I am going to do it this way. There is a structure, there is a system, and you must flow with that structure and with that system. So whether it is economy, whether it is tourism, whether it is education, whatever it is we are doing, it must follow that system and structure that is already in our institutions. All right. And then we need to look at investment in infrastructure. Africa is not investing in infrastructure. When you talk about infrastructure in Africa, a lot of people believe that you're talking about tarring, particularly in Nigeria, talking about 2-kilometer routes, 7-kilometer routes, and the like that they joke about, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a joke. They are joking. Where are we going to have infrastructure that connects the whole of Africa? We should have an infrastructure that connects Africa in such a way that it's easy for me as an African in Nigeria to move to Zimbabwe without having to think too much. Just like Dimi said at the beginning, he said for him to even leave from Nigeria to Botswana is expensive and it's difficult. You understand? So it shouldn't be that. We must invest in infrastructure to improve our connectivity, to improve our energy access. to improve our digitalization across the continent. There is nothing that says Africa cannot be connected beyond land borders, beyond physical borders. Our connectivity should not be limited by what is obtainable in border A or border B or border B or border C. What Africa needs to do is to go back inside. Just like that quote, it is Africa is not by where you are born. Africa is what you bring out from within you. Africa is what you are from within. So everyone needs to go back to whatever is within us and bring it up again to say that, yes, if we don't get education right, if we don't get leadership right, just forget it. In the next 10 years, Dimi, Ati, we're coming back to have this conversation.
That is not the case. And thank God you say you're not a prophet of doom. Thank God for giving us a warning from the start. Honestly, you guys have said the truth, and this is my own submission of all. And I'm going to ask a rhetorical question before I call it a wrap. You see that drug lords, criminals, people who sell cocaine in these other part of the world, why, after all they've gone through, they will tell you that they are doing their best to give their children the best life they can give, so their children don't have to pass through what they have passed through. I mean, even criminals have a mindset of giving their own children a better life, even a far-fetched life from their own lifestyle and reality. So why are our leaders putting us through experiences that they never experienced? So these are not.
Give me 1 minute. Let me come in here. You talked about intellectual warfare the other time, and you look at the gold in Africa. The gold in Africa, if it's put into use, you discover that a lot of people will rush into Africa to see the wonders that the gold in Africa will do. That's number one. Number two, tourism. You look at a place like, I'm going to use my home country. I'm not going to even talk about other countries. You look like a place like Plateau State, Jos in Nigeria. You look like a place like Taraba. And you believe me, I've been to some of these places, and I've seen that if you invest in the tourism there, intellectual warfare, that family saw deserts. Everybody was seeing deserts. In their mind, they were seeing something else. The same thing with us as Africans. We must look beyond what we are seeing right now. Africa is at the raw stage. We must look beyond the raw stage. We must start seeing the end product, the finished product. I was seeing a movie a few days ago. The title of the movie, I think, The End Game. The end game. We must have the end game at the back of our mind. You know that it was a crime action movie. That family already planned what they were going to do. They knew the end game from the beginning of their step, from the beginning when they started the mission. They knew the end game, and everybody was like, how did you do this? By the time you are countering from this end, they're already there. That is what Africans need to do. Have your end game at the back of your mind, so that when you start your drive, you are able to achieve what you have set your mind to.
2 days, 3 days here if you're not careful. Because no, honestly, that's why I said when I devise a topic, I'm always bringing the best people, at the back of my mind for that topic. And one of those things I'm pushing through Street and Cathedral is that I don't think we have to wait till we become the so-called superstar celebrity before we can air our voice about what affects us directly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait for Davido to be the one to go. I'm going to wait for one person called one chairman or whatever to talk about what is affecting my own destiny. It's never going to happen. And that's why I'm utilizing the media, even if this is going to move, which I believe is going to move from this social media to a standard television program.
Definitely, media is important.
To move to that point in time where intellectuals like us should start coming in and talking about these things. We need to keep here, putting our voice right there. Let them know that we are alive, we are here, we are not silenced. It is not only their children that can speak. It is not that they should know that we cannot be silent. The media that they have used to their advantage, because they've bought the media right now. The media they've used to their advantage, it is not totally bought. And people will trust the media that they know that, no, this is a media that represents us. People gravitate towards what represents them very well. Another thing I want to say, when I was talking about the drug laws and criminality, you will see criminals, Ati, you see criminals, after all they've done, sell all these hard drugs, they will try to give their children the best life and say they don't want their children to pass through what they've passed through. In fact, you might be surprised that their children do not even have, can't taste a glimpse of their own lifestyle. An example are the likes of MC Olomo, you know what I'm talking about, and everything. Their children are sound. And why? If people, I'm not saying the name MC Olomo is a criminal, but I'm not saying also he's innocent. But what I'm saying is that the likes, you see that these people are giving the best to their kids. So how much more African elders? Why are you making your people, your youths, your African children, your African self, your African younger self, pass through things that you never passed through? If that is not wickedness, then please just call it a name that's and the final thing I'm going to say, I invited a lady from United Nations in my last episode, and she said, yeah, she can see changes across Africa, and but our question is, who are those having access to those changes? Now, it's not all about you having a multi-American university in Abuja. Who can afford it? Who are those Africans that have access to it? That's another thought. And that brings us to the yawning disparity between the rural dwellers and the urban dwellers. We need to close that gap. See, we need to stop all this master-slave relationship in Africa. We need, just like you said, we have to change our mindset. And that's one of those mindsets we need to change. We have to. That a boy grow up in the rural setting does not mean you at the urban setting should have an upper edge in life over him. It does not happen in a same society this way. In fact, you'll be tempted to say that those people in the rural setting in these developed countries have quality life than we that we are urban dwellers. We are the ones that are rushing towards, you go to the rural setting, they are relaxed, they have farmlands. I'm telling you, and even the government subsidize for farmers, give them incentives and all. So we have to change this mindset of I am the Lord, I am this, and those people, the little Africans amongst us that have upper end. And how do we treat the rest of our people? We are treating the rest of our people, even in our social terrain, just the way these leaders are treating us. So these African elders have not portrayed themselves to be honorable elders. That's why Yoruba has a name for them. Ati, we have a name for this kind of elders. We call them Agbaya. That means these are elders you see, and you pave way for them. Why yani? Agbatoma yafun. These are not nice things, fam. Babaji, you said something that you people envy us, and yes, I swear, I promise you, I understand the perspective coming from. The question is, do Nigerians at home in the 70s, in the days of our fathers, do they envy those people that travel out? No, even farmers don't envy those that travel out. They just tell you, when you come back, they will host you in their village, give you good quality food, and they'll tell you, you are just stressing yourself. I mean, that's not a life for me. I want to be here. And they are living quality good life, man. So the African we want and the African we are right now, I love the way we have actually, portrayed our realities. Our realities are not favorable, fam. Yeah, you said it is good on paper. Yeah, if life is all about paperwork, then we say, yeah, Africa is already solved. Then we just pam. It's not like that. In the paper, nobody predicted this military junta going on. On the paper, nobody predicted all these things going on in South Sudan, the wars and all. So it's a tricky thing. And like Babadi said, and I'm going to go, it's not the first time African hopes will be dashed. So the agendas of visions will be cut, so we'll be dead on arrival. We just hope this is not dead on arrival. We are not being pessimistic. We are optimistic about the continent, but still, we are the kind of people that we're going to trade you with realities. And my final statement is, those of you, I do not understand where those of you think you can't give yourself to programs like this, to intellectual fellowship like this. Then what do you give yourself to? That's the question. What do you think Africa needs? If you don't give yourself to this, sacrifice yourself to intellectual fellowship like this, what do you think Africa needs? Do you think we need another sweat dancer? We need another BBN, or what do you think we need precisely? What do you think build the nations? Do you know the 3 people who built African American civilization? We talk about Vanderbilt, we talk about Rockefeller and the third guy. So you think they built it based on, you know, industrialization? Just you think what
skits and
I said it,
stand-up comedy
when
and
we
all
have
that.
an intelligent enemy, we don't choose to be obviously stupid. So even if you are a stupid person right now, at least hide your stupidity. Don't make it profound. And I've said it the other time also. Yes, I've said it the other time that celebrities right now is quote and unquote, because when it's not all people tag celebrities that move me. We can't live our life following most people on social media. You know, I listen to Stripe Misiwa, I listen to Tyler Perry, I listen. People you listen to also matters to you. What do I need to listen to? Some funny people that we know that if we are given a chance, it is our own policies that we have sleepless nights over that's going to give them a better life and even better access even in the entertainment they're having. So you can't confuse work with purpose. This is purpose, and you have to join on this bandwagon right now. Finally, to those people asking, does this pay your money? Does it pay bills and everything? These guys have called right now. Show me one single person that looks hungry. It's not everything you value based on money, and don't confuse you running after money because you have been conditioned to worship money. Doesn't mean money is everything. If money was everything, people don't build civilization on running after money. Don't confuse work with purpose. We have purpose to achieve. Africa is sitting on a ticking bomb right now. Africa is already in the coma. I see you right now, and you are here talking about how much. Mama, I've said it. Even if you are stupid at this point in time, don't make it profound. Just hide it. Go back to your tent. Try to learn and try to also pray that God take away this madness from me, because this is what we actually need. We sensitize people. We push this positive agenda. We call people into this, and we don't even want. That's why I don't want it to have a religious intonation, because worship God in your own comfort zone. But Africa people will be put forward. Humanity in Africa will be put forward, regardless of your religion, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your upbringing, regardless of your background. And for the first time, this is the platform where everybody will be treated with respect and dignity, regardless of where you come from and who you are. So, friends, this is where we draw curtain. I appreciate you guys so much for your time. I do not have the words to qualify how much I value you guys. I respect you. This is one thing you know for one fact. I respect you intellectually. I respect you a lot. We've shared, a lot over the years, and to some certain extent, we can say, "Oh, I trust you. You trust me." But we still have much to do ahead. I want to say kudos for jobs done so far, and I also want to encourage ourselves, because thousands of people are actually also motivated by what we do, and millions will be motivated by the results and our, positive outcome in the future. So please don't let us give up. Let us keep pushing the positive narrative. Thank you for, answering this ancestral call. I respect you and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having us.
So this is where I draw the curtain. I'm bye
from now from
UK. Big shout out to Nigerians. Big shout out to Botswana. And Botswana, last question for you. Is it true that there's no ugly lady in Botswana? Good. Babadi, I know we are married, but we have to consider holiday in Botswana.
Definitely. I was about going there. Actually, we are definitely coming to Botswana very soon.
Good.
Bring the family, come through.
No, we are going to leave the family behind. We are
no problem.
African business. African business.
I also need to visit.
Right. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. And you guys join me next Sunday also for another interesting topic. It's your boy Dimitri Shodeke. Bye for now.